With the crime wave sweeping the U.S., including many committed by repeat offenders, some cities' bail systems are coming under fire for being too soft on criminals. The National Desk, Kristine Frazao, takes a look at why some say the reforms are putting people in danger.
Just weeks ago, it was a murder in Seattle. Anthony Gonzalez shot in the face. The suspect had 9 felony convictions and 25 arrests, but had been bailed out by a local nonprofit.
When someone has a repeat offense on their record, I feel like that should be a red flag, and at that point, like, people shouldn't get bail, and they do.
It's a trend New York City Mayor Eric Adams worries is growing in his city as well.
As soon as we catch them, the system releases them, and they repeat the action.
He's calling on his state legislature to call an emergency session to re-examine bail laws for violent offenders, calling New York a laughingstock for its lax laws.
How do we keep our cities safe when the other parts of the criminal justice system, they have abandoned our public safety apparatus?
But the debate over bail reform is a complicated one, since 2 people accused of committing the same crime could be treated very differently based on their income levels in what many call a wealth-based system, in which some people simply can't afford to pay to get out.
You may sit and linger in a county jail for years, months to years, and you end up taking a plea deal, in some instances, admitting to a crime that you didn't commit.
But others say income levels should be just one ingredient in the recipe to determine whether someone charged with a crime should get a cash bail. That other questions should look at family and community ties, employment status, and most importantly, a prior criminal history and prior record of appearing in court. Factors the American Bail Coalition argues should be determined by judges.
Overriding judges, particularly when it comes to violent repeat criminals, has been a problem. 5% of defendants commit 60% of the crimes in this country. So the judges know who they are, and we need to let them do their job.
A job growing more complicated in many cities where violent crime is on the rise. I'm Kristine Frazao reporting for the National Desk, America's News Now.
A week after dozens of snakes were removed from a home in Sioux City's Leeds neighborhood, those snakes have now been returned to their owner. Thanks for joining us. I'm Diana Castillo.
And I'm Larry Wentz. And tonight, that story is going at 5 o'clock. Siouxland News reporter Taylor Deckard spoke with the owner, Parker Moose, about what he's doing with them now and how he says he's trying to get the city to change the current ordinance.
There's a lot about them that people just don't understand. It's definitely misunderstood.
Parker Moose currently owns 50 ball pythons, 15 corn snakes, and several young baby snakes with an interest in breeding them in the future.
We already started making the initial investments into doing it, but we want to make sure we've got the space and can do it right.
Moose says he was recently made aware that pythons were not legal in Sioux City city limits and calls what happened when his neighbors found one of his snakes a perfect storm. Police ended up getting a search warrant and removing all of his snakes from his home the night they were discovered.
Sometimes something doesn't get closed up right or whatever. We haven't had an escape since we switched to rack systems. So, I take responsibility for that. It was an accident.
Moose got the snakes back on Friday. He says it took several days to get the snakes returned to him due to city code. Sioux City police say that Moose was cooperative in finding a new place for the snakes to reside, resulting in the snakes being moved to rural Woodbury County.
A friend of ours reached out, he's a friend of the family, and offered to let us keep them there in the meantime. We're still hoping to try and get that ordinance changed.
At the moment, the current Sioux City ordinance says it's unlawful for a person to keep a dangerous animal within the city.